Okay, in this video I'm going to show you how to weld a lead sheet with a lap joint. Now, before you do this, you should really look at the video doing butt joints first. You should be proficient in doing a butt joint. Now, when you're doing a lap joint, it's the same as a butt joint, but you have to have one side of the lead 1 centimetre cleaned and the other half a centimetre cleaned. And then the half a centimetre goes on top of the 1 centimetre, so you finish off with an area looking from above, roughly 1 centimetre, because you're going to use the top sheet as a welding rod to weld onto the bottom sheet. You can also, on horizontal lap welding, you can also use a rod as well. And you can use one row of weld or 2 rows of welds. In this video, I'm going to show you how to do it with using the sheet as the rod and not with a filler rod. As you can see on the right, that's the butt joint we done on the video before. If you look at that video, it'll tell you how to set up the torch and what to look for in the weld. So we won't go over that again in this video to save time. What I'm going to show you now, this is the first weld you see at the top there, is the single with using a rod. Here's the butt joint we done in the last video. Okay, and this is both sorts of welds. The top in the picture is showing the lap weld using a filler rod with 1 pass, and the second bit is using the sheet itself as a filler rod. As I said, we're going to show you how to doing a lap weld using the sheet as the filler rod. Now, I'm just showing you this picture to show you the colour that you should be looking for, and that's this light grey colour with the dark ring around the outside. And if you notice, the welding torch has got a very small flame, just like a little tiny golf ball. Now here you see I'm preheating the sheet. Yeah, melting the bottom sheet and the top sheet, so it's just tacky together. And now I'm going to start the weld. Yeah, and it's like an action, a C action, dragging the sheet down from the top sheet onto the bottom sheet, making the weld. Yeah, simple as that. What you've got to be careful of is not to use too much sheet. If you drag off too much metal off the top sheet, you're going to have undercut. And if you hold the heat on the bottom sheet too long, you're going to have undercut as well on the bottom sheet. So the trick of it is to get the right amount of lead, which you would just have to practice for. And you should end up with the weld being higher than the sheet. If it's undercut, then the weld's going to be weak. And if it's undercut on the bottom sheet, it's going to be weak as well. So what you're looking at is to have a nice weld with a bit of height above the sheet, above the top sheet. Now you can see the action. You can see how close you have to get to weld lead. You have to be 1 or 2 millimeters above the molten pool. Yeah, and it's a C-like action. You're dragging the top sheet onto the bottom sheet and melting it into the bottom sheet. Okay, now it gets a bit tricky when you get to the corner, because if you're doing a 90-degree corner as we're doing here, and not a filleted corner with an angle, it is actually hollow, so you have to be very careful on the corner. Now, if you were doing a new build, you'd have a fillet on there, and you'd have a 45-degree angle, maybe a 2-inch wooden fillet, so you can go up at an angle, and that is a bit easier. But of course, you can't have a very sharp 90-degree angle with lead, because over the years, with the sun expanding and contracting it, it will actually split if it's a very sharp. So you have to have a nice curve on it like we have here. So when you get to the corner, you've got to be very careful you don't melt through it. Yeah, this just takes practice, but it is possible. So now, if you notice, in a minute, the angle of the torch is going to change. There you go. Now I'm starting going up. Yeah, so I am actually pointing the torch, or the nozzle of the torch, I'm pointing it at the sheet. Yeah, at the top sheet. So it's got a slight angle. It's not directly, like with the butt weld, it's not directly in line with the weld. Yeah, same technique as with vertical as horizontal. A small C, you're dragging the lead off the top sheet and welding it into the bottom sheet. Again, the trick is to practice, so you're not taking too much and you're undercutting it. Yeah, which you probably will do at the beginning. It's just a matter of practicing it. Okay, so you can see the nice grey colour again. and the lead is really shiny like a mirror, which it should be with all lead welding, and that tells you that the flame's right. If those two things aren't there, if you haven't got a shiny mirror-like metal when it's molten, and you haven't got that light grey with a dark grey ring around it on the lead, as you can clearly see here, then the flame picture's wrong and you must adjust your flame again. In the butt welding video, we went into more detail about the how to adjust the flame. Just go over it again quickly here. You've got 2 millibar on your bottle acetylene, 2 millibar on your bottle oxygen. We're using a number 2 nozzle, and to start off with, you start off with about 2 to 3 inches of acetylene, then bring your oxygen in until you've got a nice tight round ball, like a little tiny golf ball or ping pong ball. Yeah, if it goes pointed, you've got too much oxygen, and if it's got a feather, you've got too much acetylene. Now here I've cleaned it again with a bit of hemp, and you can see the weld more clearly. Now you can see it's proud. Yeah, so that means we've got no undercut. Now it's not extremely pretty like the butt weld, because I don't do this for a living. Now if I was to practice enough on this, I could get it looking just as good as the butt weld, which you'll see in a minute. But I don't do this for a living. You can see the butt weld there. You know, with a couple of hours practice, I could get it looking as nice as that. But you can still get a job. You know, that's a perfectly acceptable weld. It's just not as pretty as I'd like it. If I could, you know, do a bit more welding, I could get it looking a lot prettier. So here you can see now I'm doing one that I started earlier. This is right to left and not left to right. So the top sheet's coming from the right. The one we done before, the top sheet was coming from the left. It's very important to practice on both, whether you're left-handed or right-handed. You've got to be able to do both, because depending on how the lead on the roof's situated, if you're doing a repair or whatever, you could come across both left and right. So don't be surprised. Practice it beforehand. There's nothing worse than going on a job and making a complete boo-boo of yourself. Yeah, and with enough practice, you can get it looking, you know, a lot even. This is a little bit raggedy, but like I say, it's still good enough to get your job. It's still good enough to be accepted by the clerk of works or whoever, the architect, and it's a good strong weld. So there's no problem with that. Just the prettiness will just come with practice. Okay, so same technique, and you see the flame again. Nice round tight ball. See how close I am? You have to be 1 or 2 millimeters above the molten metal. If you lift off, you can have all sorts of problems. The weld's going to spread out, it's going to undercut here, there and everywhere, and it's going to look horrible. So here again you can see the staining on the lead from the flame. Nice light grey colour. Here I've cleaned it up so you can see the weld a bit better. Yeah, see, it's not that bad. It's okay. It's quite acceptable, but you could get that absolutely perfect if you a few hours practice once you've learnt the technique. Yeah, it's just to get your hands steady. Okay. Yeah, that's how we set it up. Obviously, if it's on a roof, it's going to be big pieces of lead, but it's just the same. It's just in miniature. Okay, so there you go. That's the lap weld, horizontal and vertical.